Time travel is a concept that encompasses the possibility of traveling both forward and backward. However, this concept is not foreign to physics, and the same theory of relativity provides that, indeed, all material particles are in constant time travel and, to one or another point in space. In this sense, one can say that everything that exists in the universe is traveling back in time and that the universe itself is a time traveler. But we land the concept. Albert Einstein already suggested, with his mathematical calculations, if a spacecraft departed Earth at the speed of light, and after a few hours of traveling be returned to the point from which he started, keeping the speed of light, I would not find this Earth, but a future Earth. Ultimately, the return of this type of trip, an hour each way and 1 hour back, could be the crew with all the loved ones who left a couple of hours to that time are dead and perhaps even several decades of death, or at least have perhaps last 20 or more years. This, like space, it follows that time is, but not exist. There are simply creations that follow and speeds. Other time travelers are black holes and the bodies that surround them. Black holes in time virtually stops. As we approach a black hole, time runs slower and slower. If a person could live as close as possible to a black hole for some time, back to the land he would meet a future Earth, but he would not have aged more than the time it had lasted close to the black hole. Large moles have the particularity to slow down time. For example, time passes slower in the pyramids of Egypt away from them. Another example is the synchronization to be performed between the atomic clocks that are on Earth and those who are in orbit in space. As we see, time is absolutely relative and, at least theoretically, could not only make time travel into the future but, what is more amazing, into the past. Indeed, an international team of scientists led by Mark Wild, of Louisiana State University have advanced model work trip in the time of David Deutsch, a postdoc eminent scientist at the University of Oxford and a pioneer of quantum computing, developing a new model, which can theoretically be possible to travel in time, copying the quantum past data. The new approach allows a particle, or a traveler in time, can make multiple loops back in time, something like Bruce Willis travel, and through real wormholes as proposed by Stephen Hawking. Beyond this, some hermetic and esoteric concepts argue that time travel is a reality and that achieved through technology only available to very advanced civilizations, not only technologically, but also spiritually. So next time you interrogate you about time travel, thinks the time in space is proceeding faster than our planet or in any other planetary mass, so true we are all time travelers. John Titor is the name used in various BBS's, bulletin boards, during 2000 and 2001 by a user who claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2036. In those messages made numerous predictions, some vague, others were specific, about events in the near future, starting with events in 2004 described a drastically changed future where America has been divided into 5 smaller regions, the environment and infrastructure have been devastated by a nuclear attack, and most other world powers have been destroyed. This story has been told on numerous websites, in a book and a play. It has also been occasionally discussed in the radio program Coast to Coast AM and visual novel Steins Gate. In this respect, the Titor story may be unique in terms of getting a great impact starting from an originally limited medium, an internet discussion board. It is noteworthy that during the nuclear crisis, presumably 2015, on which Titor made mention in one of his posts, the United States is governed, according to his words, a black president, presumably Barack Obama. The first message appeared on the forums of the Time Travel Institute November 2, 2000, under the user timetravel_0. At the time, their messages had nothing to do with future events and the name John Titor was not used. On the contrary, these messages were discussing the time travel in general. The first was the description of six-party of what a time machine must have in order to function properly and the answers to the questions of how such a machine would work. His first messages were short. Soon, timetravel_0 said it was a traveler of the future and began to describe their time in their messages. Gradually he began to answer questions sent to him in the forum and reveal a complex picture of the future. Although many of his messages speak of the condition of the world in the future, Titor also responded to questions on the forum and through the internet relay chat IRC. He also hung images, he said, were time your device or its manual. He also spoke of some events. In one of his first messages said the discovery that allow technology time travel will happen in a year or so, in 2001, when the CERN make their buildings come online. The name John Titor was not introduced until January 2001, when timetravel_0 began writing messages on Art Bell BBS forums, which required a name or pseudonym for every account. Titor posts ended in late March 2001. Some of the threads of conversation were deleted, but the information because their participants recorded their hard drives saved. Then he added to sites about time travel Titor and his predictions. Around 2003, several websites began to play Titor messages, arranging them into narratives. Not everyone has references to the original dates of shipment. On numerous occasions Titor sent comments appeared to be mouth to ear when asked about why their images had poor quality. He said that it was not a photographer, and when asked if Titor was his name true, he replied that it was a real name. In their messages online, Titor claimed to be an American soldier from 2036, commissioned in Tampa in Hillsborough County, Florida, who was assigned to a government project time travel, where he was allegedly assigned a mission to return the year 1975 and get an IBM 5100 computer to use it, according to several former computer programs in 2036 said in edit, problems with error code timeout Unix 2038. In other chat logs, he confirmed that was studying 4 languages, besides English, studied Spanish, French, Japanese and Italian. The IBM 5100 supports languages APL and basic programming. Titor was selected specifically for this mission, because his paternal grandfather was part of the team that assembled and developed the IBM 5100. Titor also said he would stop in 2004 for personal reasons, pick up some lost photographs in the Civil War which in our present time, early 2015, did not occur or is due to occur, according to their predictions, and visit his family, who often spoke of. Titor also said he was, for a few months, warning anyone who would listen about the dangers of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, infected by bovine products and the possibility of a civil war within the United States. When a user subscribed asked about it, Titor also expressed interest in unexplained mysteries such as UFOs, which in his time were still unexplained. Titor suggested that UFOs and extraterrestrial visitors could be time travelers from the distant future. They possess superior machines which he had. The closest prediction was Titor an upcoming civil war within the United States having to do with order and civil rights. He described how it all began in 2004, with civil disorder around the United States presidential election of 2004. This civil conflict he characterized it as having a Waco-type event every month until everything gets worse and would be at the gates of all and eruptionary for 2008. Titor also said he was 13 years old in 2011 and who fought in the Fighting Diamondbacks, a light infantry unit of Florida, for at least 4 years. Either way, in other posts he describes himself as hiding in that time of war. As a result of the war, the United States was divided into 5 regions based on various factors and military targets. According to John Titor, World War III would begin. In 2021, Russia launches a nuclear strike against the major cities in the United States, which were other side of the Civil War from my perspective, China and Europe. The United States counterattacked. The United States cities were destroyed along with the AFE Federal American Empire, but we, in the country, won. The European Union and China were destroyed. Titor refers to the exchange as N-Day. Washington, D.C. and Jacksonville, Florida, were specifically mentioned as targets. After the war, Omaha, Nebraska, turned out to be the new capital city. Titor gives vague references about the exact motivations and causes of World War II. At this point he said was characterized by border and overpopulation problems, but also points to the present conflict between Arabs and Jews as triggers World War III. The real disruption of world events began with the destabilization of the East as a result of degradation consistent foreign policy. The Jewish population of Israel was not prepared for a true offensive war. They were prepared for the last defense. To ask for help from the West to Israel, it was what made his neighbors have confidence to attack. The last defensive action of Israel and its neighboring Arab offensive was the use of weapons of mass destruction. In the grand scheme of things, the war of the Middle East is part of what is coming, not the cause. North Korea threatened the United States country with nuclear wars in 2021. They would be made by Russia. After a plague created in 2030 known as the New AIDS has catastrophic results, killing most of the human population. The story about Andrew Carlsson. On January 28, 2003, a man named Andrew Carlsson received a request by the FBI of the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, for questioning on suspicion of insider trading or insider trading. Suspicions began when the SEC learned that Carlsson inexplicably managed to increase its assets in cash for an initial amount of $800, $350 million in just 2 weeks. During his interrogation in the presence of the FBI, Carlsson, that year that had 44-year-old, explained how he got his wealth. He admitted that he was a time traveler and that came from the year 2256. The FBI shortly after his interrogation verbatim said, "We are still trying to figure out the source of information from which Carlsson pulls out his insider. He will remain in prison until it is obtained." Such information. The story of Rudolf Fentz, also known as Rudolf Fentz, is one of the most important urban legends of the 1970s. With the spread of the internet in the 1990s has been reported more frequently with a reproduction of the facts and presented as evidence of the existence of involuntary time travel. In essence, the legend is that in New York in 1950, a man dressed in clothes of the 19th century was hit by a car and died. Further investigation revealed that the man had disappeared without a trace in 1876. The items in his possession seemed to reveal that the man had traveled back in time from 1876 to 1950 directly.